Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Auzubillahi minash-shaytanir-rajim. Peace and blessings of children. Together. May the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be on his last and final messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all the Salafus alayhim. Dear brothers and sisters, in a Hadith Qudsi, O my servants, I have forbidden injustice upon myself and made it forbidden among you, so you do not commit injustice. The Quran has the most verses of command and advice and guidance on the concept of justice, even more than on ibadah, even more than on the rulings of different aspects of life. Very important on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. So important that he has gone to the extent of forbidding it for himself. Imagine how important it is. This is the importance that we will be touching upon, and there is one specific issue that me being an activist of an Indian Muslim organization, North American Indian Muslim Association, I'll be touching upon the request of the organizers. Justice, my dear brothers and sisters, has many dimensions. Broadly, we can categorize into two. One dimension is the justice between humankind and Allah's angle, the theological angle of justice. This is the justice that is often referred to in various aspects of our ibadah. The other one is the justice between human beings, and that is what we call social justice. There are many things that come within this, from political, relationship, diplomatic, economic, your colleagues, your neighbors, all of that comes under social justice. When the Prophet Muhammad arrived in Medina, one of the first things he said, supporting the weak, helping the oppressed, and spreading peace is the fundamental tenet of Islam. The very, very first thing that he said was supporting the weak, and then helping the oppressed, and then spreading peace. Notice how peace comes after this. Now, what happens when we don't? The Prophet Muhammad again mentioned in another hadith, he said, beware. It's a warning. He started with a very strong word, beware. The supplication of the oppressed, for there is no barrier between it and God, between it and Allah. There is absolutely no barrier. There is no saint, there is no special day for that, there is not a special time for that. It's a dua that does not need a special salah, does not need qiyamul layl or any special time. It can happen anytime and it goes directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the dua that we have to beware of, that we have to be afraid of. And this is the warning he gave. So if Allah has made such a direct access to the dua of the oppressed to himself without any conditions or situations or intermediaries, then how important it is for us to listen to that. So we'll be touching upon that. So the first thing for us, the first duty as Muslims is to lend an ear to the oppressed, to be able to listen what the oppressed have to say. We have absolutely no reason, no excuse to say those Muslims in that area, in that place, I don't know about it. In today's world of social media, today's world of internet, today's world where we are so closely connected, and the majority of the Muslims understand the importance of knowing about the Ummah, that is no longer an excuse. That is no longer a reason that we do not know. So that is the very first duty, to lend an ear to the oppressed. And once we understand that, it is our job to understand how we can bring about justice. You don't have to be someone very powerful. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be active. At least have an understanding of how we can bring justice. The Ummah is a very diverse Ummah. Right now it's about close to 1.6 billion people and growing, mashallah, at a very phenomenal rate. It is expected that if not already, very soon, maybe in a few years, it's going to become the largest faith in the world if you count all the denominations of Christianity together. The biggest part of this Ummah lives in the Indian subcontinent. And within the Indian subcontinent, in the country of India, we have one of the largest Muslim communities on the planet. Now, this large community appears a minority because of the population size of the entire country. And in approximately 100 years ago, there was a movement in 1920s. There was a movement in delegitimizing the Indian community, the Indian power, the Indian position that was there among the Muslims by a certain movement. Today, the movement is reaping its fruits. Today, that movement has become the fundamental or the largest power in the country. The government, the ideology, the education, law enforcement, everything is controlled by that movement. And that movement is the Rashtra Swayamsevak movement, RSS, that was founded about 98. What has become, when I say of the Indian community, when I say they are reaping the fruits, lynching and criminalizing minorities, especially Muslims, has become commonplace. There is no repercussion. Over 300 Muslims have been lynched in daylight. There have been barely a couple of convictions, and that has been overturned or released in the last few years or maybe even months, and they are welcomed to a heroic welcome. So anyone can now lynch, and it is absolutely not a crime that they will pay for. Work, education, housing, and all these areas are suffering extreme discrimination. It is almost like the apartheid state of South Africa in the 80s or 90s. Police brutality against Muslims and the other oppressed community continues. When a crime is reported, it's taken against those who report the crime. So there is absolutely no faith in the law enforcement among the Muslims. Attacking and destroying and shutting down of businesses owned by Muslims, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, has become commonplace. Religion and caste-based segregation is now normalized. It is okay now if you go in a restaurant to be refused service, if you go to a certain business, certain area, you want to go and openly refused service, it's okay. That was something that was unheard of just maybe 5 years ago in a country that has secularism in its name, that has secularism in its constitution itself. By name, I mean the full name of India has the word secularism in that. Of the government, over 130 journalists have been killed in India, making it even more dangerous than any war zone, even more dangerous than any place in the Middle East, in Europe, in Africa, anywhere. More journalists are being killed. Why? Because the law enforcement turns a blind eye. Now, what has become of these things effect on the freedom of speech and freedom of religion? for freedom of press, India is currently ranked 142 out of 180 countries in the world that have been ranked. So it is ranking all the way below than most countries, including war-torn countries. There is ethnic cleansing going on, where concentration camps have been established in the state of Assam and many more underway. Now, all these things that I mentioned, very, very briefly, are happening thousands and thousands of miles away. How does that impact us, and what can we do to help that? Now, the way things have turned out is that battle has come right here at our doorsteps. The racist ideology, which is called Hindutva, which is different from the religion of Hinduism, is now alive and growing and well right here in America, right here in our neighborhoods. There are 222 chapters of RSS in US. Over 100 congressional offices by the right-wing groups here, Hindu right-wing groups here. Over 100 religious temples have been taken over by this group. There used to be boards of different people from the community that are running the temples, but not anymore. Almost all the temples are now run by this ideology. There are over 800 US-based Indians that have been identified who have with the Modi government in running the elections, analyzing the elections, managing campaigns, and so on. And these are just a small percentage. There are thousands who are supporting these election campaigns from here. $158 million have been spent here locally in empowering these organizations. What are these organizations? The Hindu Swayamsevak, which is the RSS version of the same movement right here in US. Some of its major activities are here in Houston, Chicago, New York, and as we have, some of you may have heard of right here in Orange County 2 weeks ago, where a protest was openly, protesters who were protesting against the Hindutva ideology were openly harassed, physically harassed, stopped, pushed around, shoved around, and stopped even from raising their voice. And it was on a public property. Now, what they did is wrong in many, many ways, legal, ethical, and every other way. But the important boldness that they have accomplished here, that they have achieved, the fearlessness that they have. Over $142,000 have been received by these organizations from universities as grants. And there have been over $117,000 raised for members in the Congress who are supporting these Chicago and few others are well-known supporters of these groups right here in US. Now, with having said that, what is our duty? Our duty is to know. Our duty is to understand and be aware of what's happening right here in our neighborhoods, in our backyards. Understand the businesses, what's happening. When you go out do shopping, when you go out doing your groceries or your culture attire and things like that, try to understand how the Muslim businesses are being boycotted openly in social media and others by the Hindu community, and how in educational institutions the syllabus is being changed and our children are studying that. Try to understand that, try to be more aware, and inshallah we'll talk about a few other things that you can do in our next time, inshallah, and we'll take it. Okay, thank you. Inshallah, thank you.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله خالق السماوات والأرضين مكلف الجن والإنس والملائكة المقربين أن يعبدوه عبادة المخلصين له الدين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له رب العالمين، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فيا معشر الإخوان، اعلموا أن من آداب المعاشرة الإسلامية إصلاح الجنان، ومن إصلاحه الإخلاص في طاعة الرحمن. فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: بالنيات ولكل امرئ ما نوى. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: إن الله لا ينظر إلى صوركم وأقوالكم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم ونياتكم. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: إن العبد ليسأل يوم القيامة من كل شيء حتى عن كحل عينه وعن فتاط طينة بأصبعه وعن لمسه وثوب أخيه. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: ما من عبد يخلص لله العمل 40 يوما إلا ظهرت ينابيع الحكمة من قلبه على لسانه. قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم، ونفعنا وإياكم منه بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. إنه تعالى جواد كريم، قديم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم ورب حليم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له إرغاما لمن جحد به وكفر. وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد الخلائق والبشر. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد نور القلب وقرة العين، وعلى آل محمد. فيا أيها المشتاقون إلى رؤيا جماله صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما، خصوصا منهم ذي الأصل العريق أمير المؤمنين سيدنا أبي بكر الصديق رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى زاهد الأواب أمير المؤمنين سيدنا عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى كامل الحياء والإيمان أمير المؤمنين سيدنا عثمان بن عفان رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى أميرنا علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى تمام العشرة المبشرة، وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين، واخذل الكفرة والمبتدعة والمشركين، وكن اللهم حافظهم وموئدهم وناصرهم يا رب العالمين ويا خير الناصرين. اللهم شتت شمل أعداء الدين ومزق جمعهم يا مبيد الظالمين. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، واجعل اللهم آمنة مطمئنة سائر بلاد المسلمين، واكتب اللهم الستر والسلامة والعافية علينا وعلى عبيدك الحجاج والغزاة والمسافرين في برك وبحرك من أمة محمد أجمعين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة، واغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم وادعوه يستجيب لكم، ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون فتعالى الله الملك الحق لا إله إلا هو رب العرش الكريم. ومن يدع مع الله إلها آخر لا برهان له به فإنما حسابه عند ربه إنه لا يفلح الكافرون. وقل رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم احفظنا في الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the khutbah. May Allah accept from Syed, Waqas, Ahmed and Qari, Abdul, Majeed. There will be no sisters only class on Saturday due to vacation break until further notice. If you have double park outside, please remove your car ASAP. Inshallah, tonight we have a special family night program at 8 p.m. after Maghrib Salah. We have invited Sheikh Abdul, who is visiting us from East Coast. The topic is the moral value of women. Sheikh Abdul is a graduate from Medina University, also is the chairman of Shura Council of ICNA Shura Council. New Muslim classes are starting 3 times a month starting from September 1st, already started from yesterday. So if you know any new Muslims or any reverts who wants to join the classes are upstairs 3 times a month actually by project called the Embrace Project of Islam. We congratulate Muslim of LA for the purchase of 16-seater van. Thanks to all those who participated in fundraising for it. Jazakallah.